I want to welcome everyone to our conference and to our program today, Perspectives and Insights of Experienced Divorce Mediators, a candid conversation about mediation present and future. My name is Michael Aurit, and I'm honored to be moderating this amazing panel of great mediators who we're going to hear from over the next 3 hours. I want to start just very briefly by making some very brief introductions. Chip Rose joins us from the Mediation Center of Santa Cruz. Jim Malamed, CEO of Mediate.com. Amanda Singer, founder of the San Diego Family Mediation Center, right here in San Diego. Don Sapoznik joins us, founder of the Family Mediation Service in Aptos, California, and Donna Petrocelli, who mediates at the Center for Mediation and Training in New York City. I want to jump right in to our program and also let you know there's going to be plenty of time for questions. What we'll kind of do is at the end of each question that's asked and the conversation that ensues, kind of open it up to the conversation from the audience. So be thinking about those questions. We'd love for this to be an interactive program today. We want to start by diving right into the worldviews of family mediators. And so there's a number of questions on this area that we'll cover. I want to start by talking about the idea of rebuilding the field of family mediation. Most of us know that that saying, the first step is admitting we have a problem. And so it's important to acknowledge, decades ago, the organization that preceded APFM, AFM, at one time, had nearly 4,000 members. And today, APFM, although in its infancy, relatively speaking, has a fraction as many members. So the first question for the panel, do we have a problem? And if we do, my follow-up would be, rather than discussing why this has happened, or how it happened, how we've come to this point, what do you believe we can do now to change course and begin rebuilding the field?
I don't think we have a problem. We could quit any time. We just do this for the money, basically. My observation would be that the need for mediated alternatives is growing, not lessening. I've been amazed at my own community of Santa Cruz. The impact of the 2008 depression resulted in now 90%, is it, Pasha, of people going into court are pro per. 90% of the people are just going to court on their own, throwing their stuff in front of judges, not using lawyers. So the legal community has suddenly, everybody in the legal community is mediating. And Jim and I were talking about this. I want to steal his good thoughts about it. But the need is there. The question is, how do we as an organization capture those people to raise their standards of practice, establish higher quality processes, and make them aware that it's not just moving from representing a client to doing kind of in-office settlement conferences, which I think for a number of people, that's the way it's being done. And that, I think, is where the rubber meets the road on this issue.
I look at the market conditions, if you will, and I would go all the way back to the beginning of the modern family and divorce mediation movement. And I believe it actually got stimulated by all the joint parenting legislation in the 60s and 70s. And you had the conciliation courts movement. But what the conciliation courts pretty rapidly realized is they were only going to have about 2 to 3% reconciliation. And it was on the heels of that that they adopted the court-connected custody visitation or parenting mediation programs. And in kind of a paradoxical way, 40 plus states adopting these court-connected parenting mediation programs was the best thing that ever happened for the private sector of divorce mediation, because even in the best case, these mediation programs would only resolve the parenting issues. And so when they were done with parenting, it's like, good luck. And so against that background, there actually emerged the comprehensive divorce mediation services as something that, you didn't have to go to the courthouse. It didn't have to be Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. It could be evenings, it could be Saturdays. And you had some pioneers start working into the comprehensive divorce mediation market then in the late 70s, early 80s. And for most lawyers, I was the first mediator in Eugene, Oregon, and for most lawyers in Eugene, it was mediation schmediation. Mediating a divorce isn't what real lawyers do. And so initially, there wasn't that much competition from the lawyers, and a number of thriving practices developed.
Those were the days.
Those were the days. 1987, I got hired by AFM as executive director. We had 807 members. In 1993, I left 6 years later. It was 3,600 members and peaked at 4,000, okay? So what has happened, because intriguingly, the practice areas have continued to expand. Marital, keeping folks together, elder or legacy, adult-child mediation. There's more practice areas than ever, but if I was to be frank with you, I think the attorneys, not necessarily understanding this history and not necessarily understanding the full depth and breadth of mediation, have gone into doing divorce mediation just as another brand that they can offer services under, and I'm not sure how many of them have had much training. I'm not sure how many have had much consultation. They probably would say, I've attended a couple of mediations. I thought I could do better than that, mediator, and that's enough. So you're not probably going to like to hear this, but from a business opportunity, one thing you need to do is go after the family lawyers and say, you need to know more. There's a lot more here in terms of best practice, and I think you actually need to now convert those that are just getting out there with another line item in terms of their services and really help them to understand the full depth and breadth that is available. And that means reaching out to new populations that this organization hasn't.
So you think that APFM should be targeting attorneys who are interested in mediation, not necessarily focused on it as an entire practice?
I think we want to elevate the practice of everybody that's doing divorce mediation. And I will say, I'm trying to be brutally honest here. I think attorneys have an advantage in the marketplace. They have the ability to draft. They are often authorized to draft things that maybe non-attorney mediators can't. But I've gone ahead and apprenticed a number of non-attorney mediators and helped them to understand how they can come up with the paperwork also. So when you're talking about growing an organization and growing a field, there's a business aspect to it. It's hard to run a nonprofit. It's hard to have it grow and become ever more vibrant. And to do that, you need to go to the people that would join, that would benefit. And I'm suggesting to you that there is a mass of attorneys who are doing something they call mediation, who don't really have the depth of training, don't necessarily have the commitment to an organization like this, and we need to go after them, as well as maintaining the concept that you don't need to be an attorney to do divorce mediation, and that's just as important. But in terms of the actual health of the field, it is unfortunately being somewhat swallowed as a subset practice of area of law. And I think we need to kind of reassert ourselves and say, there's a whole lot more to understanding how you can best do divorce mediation.